Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Office Bloke Naz.
I'm Office Bloke Max.
Here we are, two of us. Mike is still MIA.
Yeah.
Not in Miami.
Not in Miami.
No.
Imagine Mike in Miami.
Oh,
my
imagine. With his Speedos on.
Ooh, come back. Like Dennis Rodman.
Imagine all his hair colour different with his skinhead.
What braids?
Grey braids.
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
Grey braids. Pair of budgie smugglers trying to he'd probably be playing like basketball as well, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Like, but proper bouncing it like a proper
Come back, 9 bracelets on, like all multicoloured.
Tattoos.
Oh my god.
Yeah, imagine. Yeah, he's not in Miami, he's in Spain.
Yeah.
He's probably sat in an English restaurant.
Irish
having
bar.
a full English breakfast.
Guinness. Yeah.
Anyway, why are US military bases so dangerous?
Well,
I didn't know they were, to be honest.
no, I don't know much. I know the channel loves to do US military.
Yeah.
I'm not clued in.
I've been not in US military bases, but I've been around them. I've done a lot of transportation stuff of military hardware, which has gone to military bases, but I've never gone inside them.
Okay.
I've always sort of like terminated my thing at the gate and sort of like, there you go, not interested anymore.
Yeah, thank you.
My job's done.
Yeah, exactly.
Sort of thing. But I think you also, you've got handing passports and all kinds of shit. I've done it
I'm
with,
sure
I've done it with
loads.
the UK military where we actually took a driver with us who had a Polish passport, and when we turned up, they were like, "He can't come in."
Really?
And I'm like, "What?" They went, "Yeah, you got to be British passport holder to come in here."
Oh, wow.
It wasn't military. It was a military related. It was like BAE Systems type thing.
Oh, okay. Right. Yeah.
But it's very strict on it.
I'm not surprised because you don't know what the information's like in there.
Yeah, guy was a driver though, man.
He didn't know. Yeah. He's just doing his job.
He had to drive it. I had to get in the van and drive it inside, sort of like to load it all up. Yeah.
Oh wow.
To get it all sorted. Yeah.
My God.
Anyway, let's get into this one. Why are US military bases so dangerous?
You know, if I go missing, it's because I did this.
Wait, sorry, what was that?
It's because we talked. Like,
You're
there's
saying if something happened to one of you guys, it's because you did this interview.
If I vanish or he vanished, we're both tracking that, why.
Wow. I can't tell if you're joking or not.
No.
Soldiers have to make a joke out of it because it's so real. At Fort Hood, you're like, I made it to work and didn't get shot, raped, or freaking killed. I guess it's a good day.
That's a normal joke.
That's a normal joke.
Fort Hood is one of the largest Army bases in the country. It has more than 38,000 active duty soldiers. It's home to 3rd Corps and to 1st Cavalry Division. I mean, the people who are literally fighting ISIS. One of the other things this base is known for, especially more recently, is it's considered by many estimates to be one of the most dangerous bases in the country.
Do you think that's to do with like people who want military personnel? We had an issue over here with Lee Rigby.
I recognise that name.
Yeah, he's a soldier, left his base in full uniform, got attacked by two I can't remember what sort of like faction of it they were members of some terrorist group.
Oh, okay.
And sort of like hacked him to death in the street.
So what? Oh, in terms of, because where did they say this was located? This in USA?
This is in Killeen, Texas, yeah.
Oh, in Texas. So you'd think there'd be more of a...
Well, Lee Rigby got killed in the UK as well.
Oh, but it was just a sleeper cell group.
It was a sleeper cell, like just two like lunatics.
Oh, right.
I don't know, part of some kind of terror organisation.
Yeah, this seems more like the culture of the base itself.
Do you think?
Well, if they're making jokes, we haven't been like killed or raped.
On the way to work.
Oh, on the way to work. Oh, so it'll be the surrounding area. That's the issue.
Yeah, and I think it's people targeting US military personnel.
Okay.
That's similar to what we had with Lee Rigby. That's what I'm thinking it is.
Yeah.
Fort Hood has the highest rates of homicide, aggravated assault, and sexual misconduct Army-wide. And in the past 5 years, more than 160 soldiers based here have died outside of combat. But the story of Fort Hood is representative of a broader problem, an insular military justice system operating independently of the civilian world, where commanders have almost complete control over prosecuting violent crime.
My sister's a human being! And I want justice! And I want answers!
The problems at this base first came to national attention last year when a 20-year-old soldier named Vanessa Guillen went missing. The Army didn't thoroughly investigate and instead labeled her AWOL, implying she left the base without permission. Her body was found 2 months later. She'd been murdered by a fellow soldier.
Wow. So it is
Vanessa's family is still fighting for
Yeah.
It's not to do with external issues. It's
So
to do
it's
with
definitely
it's to do with
inside.
internal. Yeah. Wow.
answers.
Que están encubriendo a alguien muy grande. Yo para mi justicia que me digan la verdad, que se sepa con detalles por qué pasó eso con mi hija. Y no vamos a parar hasta obtener justicia para que se puedan salvar tantos jóvenes que están escondidos, la mayoría están escondidos sufriendo.
Vanessa isn't alone. 95 soldiers were listed as AWOL at Fort Hood in 2020, including Greg Morales, whose body was found while investigators were still searching for Vanessa. When violent crime is investigated, soldiers say it isn't always taken seriously. We're in a small town outside Fort Hood. We're visiting a woman who says that she was sexually assaulted while she was serving at Fort Hood. She's staying in this motel right now, and she's really just kind of living VA check to VA check. Karina was just 19 when she says she was raped at a party after her drink was spiked.
I woke up the next morning, and I was in his bed, and I personally didn't know what happened. When I got to PT in the morning, my partner next to me said, hey, you know you got bruises all over your neck, your body, everything. God. And so I told the NCO, I was like, I need to go to the hospital. I went, and that's when they confirmed I was raped. After that, they actually had a counselor come in and talk to you and let you know, hey, can you tell your story? And I did, and no one did anything about it.
So nobody followed up with you?
No one. And it kind of just felt me like, okay, did whatever I say go through one ear out the other? Because that's how I felt.
Come on. Karina says she reported her assault up the chain of command. They sent her to SHARP, the Sexual Misconduct Prevention Program, who said they'd report it to CID, the Army's Criminal Investigative Division, but she says nobody was held accountable. Stories like this continue to surface. Last year, the Army did something unprecedented. They brought in an outsider, a former FBI investigator named Chris Swecker, to try to understand how this keeps happening. When you looked at the investigative division, Criminal Investigative Division, CID, were there any agents who you felt were experienced enough to conduct complex homicide or sexual assault investigations?
There were only a couple, and there may have been as low as only one. You know, at one point, 90% of the enlisted CID agents had less than 2 years' experience. And then they had warrant officers, I think somewhere around, at some point, 40.
I think that's the problem with a lot of things that happen in the military. It's sort of like kept inside the military, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's sort of like it's all disciplined and court, like goes through a court.
What do you think why do you think it'd be so easily disregarded in terms of like it? Just because like the problem will go away, or is it a gender thing? Is it just?
It could be. I don't know. I mean, it could be anything from like the Army don't want any bad press.
Yeah,
true. There's that as well. This doesn't happen here type thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you see all the you see recently what's happened in the prisons over here with what's been going on at HMP Wandsworth.
Yeah.
If you're not seeing it, Google it. Yeah, or don't if you don't want to see it. But but there's a lot of shit goes on where people say that doesn't happen here. So I think this is very good. You can't get
sort of like blissful ignorance in terms of like it might happen over there. But
I think all departments of government, sort of like agencies, sort of like even the Army, the Navy, any of the armed forces, anything like that, should all have an independent auditor every year that comes in, who sort of like takes over and reviews it. Sort of like people like this. He's coming from the FBI, and he's saying their people don't have the experience to know to do this kind of thing. So why not task it to somebody? Why not go to external?
Yeah, 100%.
But they don't want people rooting around, do they? That's what it is.
Well, yeah, true. Well, that's why. Because if you fuck up so badly where you're not investigating something properly, which means something's obviously been hidden.
Yeah.
Like with that woman that got killed. So the fact they've just labelled it, she's gone AWOL. I don't know where she is.
Yeah,
she's definitely gone, hasn't she?
Could be a can of worms, though. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
One could lead to, thousands maybe.
Yeah,
who knows?
Exactly.
Yeah, madness.
50% of them were probationary or apprentice. So that meant that they weren't even credentialed to go out by themselves and do interviews.
In December, Swecker and his team published their findings in an extensive report. The most concerning thing they found dealt with military prosecutors, or JAGs, who were sometimes pressured by commanders to sideline solid criminal cases.
What we saw was a pretty close relationship between military JAG advisors and the commanding officers. So when victims came in, or these cases came in, there seemed to be a deference towards the subject and disposing of the case as quickly as possible.
How do you dispose of a case?
In the military system, there are what I call off-ramps. You can take a set of facts in a case and you can say there's no prosecution here, and it stops here. That's an opinion that they render early in the process. Second part of it is they can decide that they're going to go administrative instead of court-martial. Court-martial is the military equivalent of a trial. So what we saw was a lot of these cases took the off-ramp before they got to court-martial. And then if they did get to court-martial, more often than not, the cases were lost.
It just seems like at every stage, there are people who are in positions of power who are just tossing cases.
No cases, no problems.
The problems that Swecker identified don't just happen at Fort Hood. Service members have been labeled AWOL under suspicious circumstances on other bases. A number of families say their children's deaths weren't properly investigated. And despite a years-long campaign to root out sexual violence, the number of reported assaults has only continued to rise.
Wow.
Military-wide, the conviction rate is less than 5%. And this Marine says after the sergeant who assaulted her confessed, the case was dropped.
This is exactly why fucking females in the military fucking kill themselves. This is exactly why nobody fucking takes us seriously.
While Swecker uncovered these areas of corruption, we tracked down a military insider who's experienced it himself. We're in Richmond, Virginia to meet up with Ben Beliles. He's a retired Air Force JAG who prosecuted cases for about 10 years. He's also represented service members in every branch of the military. And today, for the first time, he's blowing the whistle on what he says is a military-wide problem that allows for cover-ups. Did you ever have an experience where, you felt you had a strong case, you wanted to prosecute it, and the commander said no?
Oh, absolutely. Often these cases were off-ramped into other resolutions or just went away and didn't even discuss it with me, really.
Did you ever come across cases of violent crime where the perpetrator wasn't prosecuted and then their name came up later as having reoffended?
Absolutely. I'm aware of hundreds of cases like that in the Department of Defense.
Victims of violent crime and their families.
That's bizarre. I mean, you look at, what was it, sexual cases there, 7,800 in 2019, I think it was. That's ridiculous. That's an astonishing amount, isn't it?
I can't believe this hasn't come out earlier.
Yeah, it probably has. It's probably been bubbling, but it's one of the things that probably gets the amount of shit that we don't hear about. Goes on in all kind of government agencies. But this is just like the numbers here are crazy. But he's a whistleblower. He knows of hundreds of cases where people have been not prosecuted and gone on to reoffend. That's mind blowing, isn't it?
And that's the people that are supposed to be protecting us.
I know.
Us, the US.
Yeah, but these are supposed to be protecting not the people. These people are protecting the criminals.
Yeah.
In theory, they're the ones that should be protecting the innocent. But in theory, letting the criminals go.
Wow.
Just because it's in the military, they try to deal with it internally, I guess.
Yeah.
Like we'll make them back being normal if you want.
Yeah, or we'll change
them from a sexual predator to being back to normal. Change them, I don't want it like that.
No,
Families say, this is a system in all branches of the military that allows for widespread cover-up. Do you feel that that's a fair characterization?
The system as it exists today allows for cases to be either covered up, not fully investigated, and made to go away.
So for a family and there are a number of families who dispute the cause of their child's death, the original investigation was poor, the other information is classified, I mean, where do they go?
I don't know.
Shite.
The reports we have heard should disturb everyone.
I am tired of excuses. I am tired of the statement I get over and over from the chain of command. We got this, man. We got this. You don't have it. You're failing us.
A bipartisan group of senators led by Kirsten Gillibrand and Ted Cruz have been fighting for years to fundamentally change the military justice system by allowing independent, trained military prosecutors to decide which serious crimes to prosecute. They're now introducing a new bill that would do this, effectively taking the prosecution of violent crime out of the chain of command. But the military's top brass is resistant to this reform. During our investigation, the Army granted us an interview with the man tasked with turning around Fort Hood, Major General John Richardson. I've heard from experts, including veterans, who have said the future of the U.S. Army really hinges on what you're able to accomplish here. Would you agree?
We've had a trust deficit with our soldiers, and that's really what we're focused on here at Fort Hood, is rebuilding that trust with our soldiers, their families, and by extension, the American people.
Bipartisan congressional leaders, as you know, have been asking for the power to be taken out of the chain of command. And they really feel like independent investigators, prosecutors should really be prosecuting crimes within the military. What is the pushback from the military?
The chain of command is central to good order and discipline in a military organization. And so we entrust the commanders at every level to enforce good order and discipline And once you take that away from the commander and put it into the hands of a outside agency, you've already are demonstrating a lack of trust from the American people to the military.
I think a lot of people would say,
yeah, you're not getting it right at the moment, so something has to change. I think it's got to sit there, and if he says no, leave it as is, just say okay. But anything goes wrong, just one case, it's on you.
Yeah,
you're the one going to jail for life.
That's what I was watching. That's the most wasted interview I've seen. That's the most PR trained answer. It's just about it's about values. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's about getting cases solved,
people's lives.
Yeah, exactly.
Madness.
The chain of command commanders have proven that they cannot do this, that they cannot self-police their own soldiers. And I guess at what point do they no longer earn that privilege to be able to self-police?
It really comes down to commanders demonstrating through their actions that they will take action and then hold other leaders accountable. Some have some bad habits but can change, and then there'll be some that don't change, and they will have to go because they'll be cancerous.
Attention! In response to the allegations in this story, the Army said they encourage all soldiers to voice their safety concerns, that they voluntarily publish the results of punishment for sex crimes, and monitor the status of active cases. 2 decades of combat and the PTSD that comes with it will make this job harder. This is a generation of leaders that's been trained to go to war, not prioritize the health and safety of its soldiers. After our interview, the Army did fire or suspend 14 service members. They've promised to investigate missing persons cases, no longer labeling them AWOL, and even canceled training rotations, showing how they'll prioritize the well-being of their soldiers. But so far, lower-ranking soldiers are skeptical.
Since Vanessa Guillen's death, there have been reforms that have been introduced. Are they working?
There's half measures and then there's just hollow gestures, and that's often what happens is people are so preoccupied with trying to make the program look good that they don't actually worry about how to make the program run properly.
So you're calling bullshit on these reforms?
All of it. I've seen it all before. Soldier gets raped, have a sharp class. Okay, we had a sharp class, rape doesn't exist anymore, goodbye.
Box checked, moving on.
All the leaders in the Army have been leaders for a long time. They were around for the surge in Iraq and Afghanistan, and their main priority was to, fight and win wars. But it's a different war now, and those are the people who are still in charge.
Crazy.
That is absolutely nuts.
Yeah, but I don't think it's just the Army or all military departments. I think it's rife right across people who now think they're above the law. We were talking to him yesterday about
P.
Diddy.
Yeah.
With the way he is and the way he's behaved over the years, and people in music and people in different types of environments and different cultures. It's just something needs to be done. Bad. Well,
it's like they said, like, they'll always put out statements like, we encourage people to speak up. But imagine if you're like, I'm sure it happens here as well, because it will do. But if you're going into the military or the Army, and then you don't even trust the people to stand up for you above you, why? Like, I don't think we're as patriotic as a country as maybe America is.
No. I think you speak to the military people, maybe a little bit different. So I think all military personnel are pretty patriotic than the average Joe in the street.
Yeah.
I think what you've got with military personnel going in there, that's what that girl was saying there. She said that's why we're not being believed, we're not being trusted.
Yeah.
Anything that's going in, it's being just pushed away. It's it's happened now.
Complete ignorance.
Let it go. Let it go. Let's not get into. Let's not. They don't want people. It's like every department. They don't want people rummaging around. Worst thing you can get is when you're a business or anything is an audit.
Yeah.
Because even if you've done nothing wrong, you get nervous as shit.
Yeah.
Asking too many questions.
Yeah.
People don't want to be asked too many questions.
Cracks that aren't even supposed to be there that you'll show.
Yeah. It's like anything in life. As soon as people start questioning what you're doing and firing questions at you, be like, what's all this about?
Yeah.
And you
have I done something wrong?
Become very defensive.
Yeah.
And I think with the military like that, they are a very defensive organisation anyway. All the military branches where they don't let anyone else in. It's all done internally.
The image of the military is, we're order.
Yeah.
We do things the right way all the time.
Yeah.
And clearly they're not. Obviously they want to, but like if people are obviously misregarding and getting in the way of investigations. How can you as an American citizen look at that and go, this is something I want to be a part of and can trust?
The smallest level it should be shadowed by somebody.
Yes.
So like shadowed by an external source.
Yeah.
So they can sit there and go, doing that wrong, or hang on a minute, this is what I've noticed she's not done.
Yeah.
And then do an independent report, but just shadow the process.
Yeah.
Well, and that'd be easy then, wouldn't it? Then it's transparent.
Yeah, 100%. Well, it's like that. Was it the senator, the woman that was shouting at the general? That was in 2013, and then it's only gotten worse since.
Yeah.
So
she was 2019.
Was that 2019? Was it Ted Cruz?
Gillibrand, I think it was. Ted Cruz was 2011 or whatever it was, 2012, and then Gillibrand was
still
2019.
Just going and going and going and going. So whatever measures are trying to be put in place aren't working.
But she was right, she keeps saying we've got it, and she says you haven't.
Yeah.
So at what point do you say, right, enough now, no more?
It's so damning,
it. Yeah.
that statement.
Interesting story, that, though, because it's a lot of stuff you don't hear about things like that.
I know.
It does get brushed under.
And Vice are amazing at because they're big enough to get those sort of
those news stories, Interesting, though. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget, like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.
Cheers.
Cheers.